mostly for teams that aren't necessarily comfortable yet running Yunara comps on their own. I know Elk is yet to win a Yunara game, but also Gala has a pentakill on Yunara. I got the first Yunara pentakill in pro play, so I like to say it's a bit of a respect balance. The VODS does also. So is this just there's Pantheon? They're just gonna take Pantheon for Shadow. All right, so no.
Okay, I think Pantheon first pick is a little overrated. I'm glad to see that teams are starting to play into this now. The reason why I think the Pantheon, like, yes, your level 4 is huge. Yes, you have global reach that's really big. But I think that you need to be able to control the front line to be as effective as a champion. If not, then you're just kind of like an alt stun and early game power bot. For me, stuff like, okay, we're probably going to see Annie Wukong come out. This can stat check Pantheon later on.
Yep.
And gives you a lot of scaling advantage. So for me, BLG already has to play early. I think other champs I'm looking out for later on in the draft, Slayer. Always got to think of Ezreal when it's Gala versus Elk. I think both these players play very well on the Ezreal, and it opens up the rest of their team. They just play full dive, not worry about the AD, which both these teams love to do.
Hey, Gubby, you know me, man. You don't have to sell me on high-level Ezreal gameplay of all the champions that are out there. So, yeah,
who's going to be way? Okay.
Oh.
This is playable in the Pantheon, too. So, again, you get destroyed early on in this matchup, but you're able to really cheat and play with the terrain later on in the Pantheon. So you can buffer the W with an EQ of your own. You can lock him into the Cataclysm. He stat checks you and beats you up pretty good early, but your clears a bit faster, especially after the Pantheon Q change. So we're starting to see this matchup get played a little bit more. And Wei has played it very well. It was played in the Game of 3 where they were able to topple top esports, and I felt like they had a very powerful draft. So that's going to be the choice in the Pantheon. Aurora locked in, and then looking like a Scion here for Bin.
But do you want to... Here's the thing. You talked about Bin Rumble, and you don't want to... Yes, exactly. You do not want to give Rumble over to a J4 comp. You are asking to, like, create this pot of just fire in the middle with a Tibber
but now you get over top. Orned. I think it's TheShy Ornn. And TheShy Ornn has been fantastic this split. Like, he has made this champion look mechanically impressive. I think his Ornn has been so oppressive for these teams to face. It doesn't mean that you're playing for a little bit later on. You're going to have to find some more damage in the bot lane, but no surprise to see TheShy bust out the Ornn yet again.
Yep.
And I will say that for the Rumble, not a lot of setup so far, so looking for IG to really attack that. They could take away some supports and then like pretty much triple ban support to give on a worse pairing. I would not give Nautilus. I would really think about giving over Rel. And, okay, they're going to take away Poppy, too, which I respect a lot, going up against Jarvan.
Yeah. I wonder if it's worth... Because you talk about a Gala, you need a lot of damage, right? So the Kai'Sa band's really big. Gala's going to want, like, a scaling AD, like a Smolder, a Zeri. He doesn't have to get onto a Yunara. I wonder if, like, an Ezreal ban is warranted here from IG, because they don't need damage out of their AD carry. I think they can get a bit more supportive for Elk. Like,
I mean, they banned the Kai'Sa themselves. Like, I don't think Xayah is good for BLG. I know that Elk's been loving the Xayah, but you're asking to emulate what happened in Game 3 at Top Esports versus IG, where you spread out your Rs against Xayah, and then Xayah has trouble playing the game because you actually are getting outranged, and then you have to, you know, choose R against, like, one of 4 or 5 things you have to get out of with Featherstorm. So I would like an Ezreal ban here. Looks like they're leaving the supports up. I will say that Nautilus, I think, really deprioritized for On, because... Into Ornn Jarvan, you have funky interactions with Cataclysm. And then into Ornn, like, you just get Omega stat checked. Like, he just doesn't care about Nautilus.
Right.
So it's good setup for Rumble, but I'd kind of like giving the Nautilus over. Like, I think taking Rel here, or Ezreal, I think that's the real choice for IG.
I want to see Elk on the flip side over BLG. I feel like this is a comp where Jhin can provide a lot of... I think Jhin provides a lot of value. Sivir, so you're just really leaning into front to backing later.
There's not a lot of CC.
Okay,
you just run out of Rumble ult. I think that's a decent thought, honestly. Does empower and enable Annie Ornn Jarvan too. But the issue with Sivir sometimes is that you get games where you can't really auto attack.
Yes.
So I like this for Elk in the sense that we're looking at kind of a brute force game now for BLG. You have to be kind of careful approaching into Xayah. Like, if you overextend the Sivir, can be dangerous. But I don't agree with Xayah at all in the Annie Jarvan Ornn. I don't think this is good. Because, again, if you're IG, Cataclysm puts you in a really tough spot as Xayah. You can go up in the air, but you come down in the pit. And we saw, I think, Wei executed this really well against Top Esports and JackeyLove. And yeah, just take something else that Elk has to get out of with Featherstorm. And it sets up, like, we're already looking at, if they deal with Ornn R, J4R, any stuns that are sometimes hard to react to. Like, those are already 3 things. Now a 4th thing locked in that you have to R. You also have Neeko E2. So, like, yeah, Xayah can have a nice fight, but you're out-interacted by so many things that if they're split up by IG, and you can split up the Featherstorm, there's not a lot of CC in this comp, and I feel like if you can navigate that, like, attacking the Xayah is pretty easy for IG. So I don't agree with the Xayah Rakan for BLG to round out this draft. I think it makes a really tough game for them, because I just don't see enough CC to set up for the Rumble, so I think it's really important that they brute force this game early, win their lanes, and push from there, because they are showing a ton of priority, so there is a real chance for BLG to blitz the game, but if they don't blitz the game, I think it's hard for them to win.
What's fun, though, about these 2 drafts next to each other, Cubby, going back again to the fact that, yes, we are 9 and 10 series deep, respectively, for IG and BLG, but the last time they faced off was all the way back to that playoff series, and what was the difference back then for me? BLG playing that aggressive, proactive, early to mid-game style comp and just smashing IG before they could get their comps online. Because when IG can get a teamfight comp online later, they're one of the best teams in the league. So the fact that we have, you called it, the Pantheon, the Aurora, the Rumble, winning lanes topside, the proactivity there versus this super scaling big teamfight comp from IG, it's those 2 ideals once again going head-to-head, just like they did in that lower bracket series banger from Split 2 playoffs.
Excited for this one. And honestly, like, IG, we talked about going into that top esports series, how they were 2 and 10 against teams above them in the standings. They won that to move to 3 and 10. And it was playing this Annie Jarvan combo into a Xayah. Or it was Jarvan. No, it was Ornn, Jarvan, Galio into Xayah. And it was the same game plan of, like, let's split things up, really pressure the Featherstorm, and try and execute on the Xayah afterwards. I want to see if they can do it again. They proved they could do it against Jack U11 top esports. Let's see if they can do it against BLG.
Let's see if we get our Gyos back loud and ready for our squads as well. Yeah. That's what we want to hear. You know, the stadium microphones may be a bit lower, but I could hear the passion. I could hear it coming through for this series, Gubby.
I'm excited about the series. We'll put it that way, Slayer. I do think that there's a world where we could see IG really take down what has been a demon for them throughout this year so far against BLG. So, yeah, I mean, I think, BLG have played one more series, but I think it speaks to how clean some of the series have been for IG and why we are excited about this team. Because clean is not usually a word that we associate with IG, but it is one that they have earned in terms of the moniker. This Elk
Gala
made a mistake level
all
1.
Of that lethal tempo, yeah.
Yep.
So many valuable autos down. Also, shout out to Gala for the skin choice as well. I want to get that out of the way early.
I mean, that's always a sick one if you are Sivir. That was a poor choice from Elk.
I mean, how much does that ruin this bottom lane already, Gubby? I mean, take
very
that
much.
reset.
Your down experience. You're really setting up for good conditions for Sivir, who can delete waves against the Xayah like it's no one's business if you get ahead. I mean, that's the concern about Sivir, is that once you get wave access, your ability to delete these waves, it can make for a very annoying game if you are BLG. A lot of pressure on Shadow to use that global to stop that later on in this one, but gonna have to see. I will say that, you know, we talked about some of the history between these two teams. We did kind of talk behind the scenes, Slayer, coming into this one, about how TheShy feels like one of the best top laners we have in the LPL, but hasn't really been able to topple Bin. And how this split might be the first split where, like, we're having real conversations about, is TheShy the best top laner in the league right now? Because I'm in the camp where he is. I think TheShy has had a brilliant split here in the LPL.
It's so hard. It's for me, I feel like it comes down to really splitting hairs.
Yeah.
And, you know, the
but
difference...
it's a conversation. It was in the past.
It is 100% a conversation. And what, for me, I think sways me a bit more towards TheShy's camp versus, you know, Bin and 369, right, that I would consider as the only other two that you can really have a convo with about right now compared to TheShy is now, earlier on, it was like everyone was talking about his middly top picks where he's like slamming these lanes, but the effectiveness of his leads out of lane really came into question constantly. But now, ever since we're getting like this Ornn game we're seeing now, or, you know, him leaning into more of those tanks, his ability to impact the rest of IG's game plan later on is what I think clears him right now compared to the rest of the top lane camp. But right now, it's Rookie who is forced off of his turret by Shadow trying to lurk for a first blood. Blast Cone is Rookie's best friend because he is dead if that thing is not spawned.
Shadow doesn't have a ward. Okay, yeah, we're going to see. I mean, he did just walk. Is he spotted there? Because Wei might find him. It's going to really mess with his tempo. Wei has a buy, so he might be able to fight this.
Wei's
Pantheon's
strong.
very strong at this point, but Wei's rotating.
Meiko's coming first.
Meiko.
They're also TPing behind. They are looking to punish Shadow early on here to slow down BLG's tempo. Knockup gonna land. Shadow's gonna flash away from everybody else, but Rookie follows with the stun. He throws up the E, but it drops very quickly. Shadow should fall, pushes out a ton of damage. Knight can't find the train kill. He flashes forward. He's gonna get it with one last auto to knock down Rookie, but now he's used everything to fall way too far forward without the flag and drag knockup though. IG can't punish the flashless Aurora. And now On may look to turn it as well. Big amount of damage comes back out from Knight, but it's all onto the clone. Just gonna end with a 1-for-1 trade.
Wei missed the second EQ on the Knight. I actually think if that hits, it's a play. I like that take for IG. Like, that's a good punish into Shadow. He did not have a buy. But that fight, I kind of want a second look. I'm wondering if Rookie could have played it a wee bit better. I think that Shadow, when he realized he was dead, he turned at the right time. The other consequence, I will say, you can see Gala has much better conditions than Elk on the bot side. Okay, this is what it is. I think Wei is just playing to stop it. I mean, maybe, yeah, the EQ miss there I think is fine because you're stopping the recall. This is where...
I'm waiting to see where this miss.
Okay. Yeah, the second EQ miss was the tough one, because you know that Knight's going to hop. Like, he's invisible right now. I guess that was well-timed by Knight.
Yeah.
But you know that he gets it on the reset. So, I guess you kind of, like, for me, it's a wait-and-see game. I guess not the case against Knight. He played that one out very, very well. And that early haunting guys, yeah, could really warp this mid matchup.
But here's the thing.
We aren't questioning if Rookie's better than Knight. Knight's been fantastic all year. He really has.
Yeah. Knight is in his own tier. With that entire play, though, and both the supports coming over, something you kind of point out before we got into that replay is how much for Gala this benefits. Like, he gets the CS lead. Now you get the swap coming out a bit late as well, and you can see Elk in the 2v1. On trying to come over here just to provide some cushion to be able to farm safely. This is a big pain point that BLG are going to have to address going forward, is how much more positioned Gala is to move smoothly into that later game stage we always need to see with Sivir, right? 3 items plus before this champion really starts to roar.
Well, a BF sword start is certainly going to help with that, because, again, your ability to throw your weight around with this BF sword is going to create, I think, some nice conditions early on here for IG. And again, Gala, I mean, I think that Gala's been really good with Meiko this split. Like, this has IG, like, in the standings. Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Mid, Rookie, no flash.
Nope.
Oh, goodbye.
And between worlds into the stun. That is just so tasty to see come across. And Shadow's going to walk away with a 1 HP. Wei has flash, though. Yeah, so I think Wei doesn't want to burn the flash, right? He is going to trade Shadow out here, though. Yeah. But here's the thing, Guppy. That's a 2-0 Knight Aurora. Yep, and Gala now on his own little pedestal is going to flash away from Blade Caller and the knockup. Elk's going to try and chase him down with the goes. Here goes that 80 carry lead evaporating for IG, but Gala luckily just going to trade his 2 summoners for his life.
Elk with, I mean, just an ounce of an XP advantage and turns it into something very nice. Very nice by BLG. And yeah, I like your point there, Slayer, because yes, it's a trade of kills, but a 2-0 Aurora is something that BLG can hopefully build off of. Meanwhile, neutral objective is secured by the Jarvan. You can see BLG playing quick towards this top side to try and respond with the grubs. Curious if this is given away for free as support spellbook TP comes out. Very common and standard now that spellbook, you just pick up TP around this time so you can play grubs. Shadow's going to get
committing
one.
to a pretty big wraparound. Knight does not have a Twin Worlds back up. Wade's going to have to flash over the first knockup as Rookie stuns Knight up to hold him in place. I love that route, though, from On to get a critical summoner out there. But they do have Elk resetting now.
Yeah, they can't do it. I love this from IG. Like, yes, that trade into Gala, it was bad for him, but the timing of it. He was able to reset, so because he doesn't go down, he gets better conditions. Yes, he loses out a little bit, but the timing of it, he comes back. Elk has to respond to that reset, and it's while the grubs are up and spawned. So IG end up with the first 2 neutral objectives of the game. And yes, there's a bit of gold in the hands of Knight, but 2 neutrals early. This is a lot of scaling for IG, a lot of ability to pressure. We said that BLG, they have a full-court press, and I think the game is hard for them to execute as it goes later. There's not enough CC in the comp, and the damage is kind of tough into all the tankiness and the execution we feel like IG has. This is, I think, a very good game state for IG. I'd be very happy if I'm in their camp.
I'm glad you used the full court press analogy because it's actually
3 winning lanes, winning jungle, you know?
Yeah. Well, hold on. I can't even bring up my point here. Gala is going to have to burn heal and the spell shield, but they're going to drop the Cataclysm on top of Elk, who does have the Featherstorm. He's going to hang on to it and use the Blade Caller to get rid of Wei, who is just not expecting Shadow to be hovering towards this top side.
Yeah, Wei missed the EQ out. Again, I like the play. You want to attack Xayah with the Cataclysm. You can see how you're still stuck in the terrain there.
Oh, no. Meiko! Those are the issues that had us so down on Meiko in split 2 there.
Yeah, that was an oops. We don't like seeing that. A couple oopsies there from IG, and again, a lot of gold given over to BLG.
Damn, Tibbers.
A comp where they need to be off to the races. Oh, wait, have I educated you about Summoner Bear?
Oh, no, yeah, Summoner Bear, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I remember.
Yeah, we like the Summoner
Of course the Cubster is going to educate me on Bear Law.
It was a Meiko original. I got to give him some credit. But that's a nice Cataclysm. Look at the EQ out, though. It just doesn't connect. He misses it.
Oh.
Yeah, it feels bad, man. Because I think that if he gets out, he sticks out of there. Elk level up, making sure that he lives. Gala doesn't want to step up. No sums to try and clean up the kill. And that's a win for Elk.
Oh, here we go. Another Grand Starfall play. This time it's on to Gala. The stun lands. The Blade Caller doesn't get the pull back, and all get the kill. It's the piercing spear of Shadow to find the trade. But a trade still for Gala.
Yeah, it's a trade up, though. You remove Sivir from the map, and we're attacking Sivir with no conditions. So 1-for-1, not as good as it could be, but still a win for BLG. I like the play from Shadow. Meiko did his best there, but you can see the idea, some of the direction for BLG. Elk has to be careful, though. He's still no Flash, no Featherstorm. I think he's dead.
Yeah, especially with that cleanse already coming out here.
On base early.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a sloppy game 1 from both of our squads here. A couple mispositioned and aggressive back timers. This time it's Elk to fall next.
Was a bit surprised we didn't see Xayah Rakan use the recall there. I think On should hover Xayah and then, hide the recall. Rookie has Flash up.
He still gets stunned, but yeah, gets over the knockup.
Yeah, you can't get out of the stun. I think that doing that, he actually lives because Knight didn't use his R. I think if Knight R's, Rookie goes down. The Merc Tread's rush was nice. Definitely helped him out a little bit there. There's a roar damage,
You know what's interesting, though? You know what's interesting about this game plan for BLG right now, which is clearly, I think, to make Rookie sweat and get behind on this Annie. I actually remember a tweet from you yesterday, or a couple days ago, talking about the problems with a malnourished Annie towards a team fighting comp.
Oh, dear Lord, yes. Well, Shanks,
the Cream Annie, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it was Cream, yeah, Cream's Annie in that game they played against IG, or no, it was against BLG, that's it. Yeah, Cream's Annie didn't have a third item until the 47-minute mark, and I was just so thoroughly disgusted. We sold Blasting Wand for Seekers at one point. There was a Blasting Wand, and then the Oblivion Orb. It just any wave after the 15-minute mark was just like, no, we're going to fight instead. It was bad. It was fun, but it was bad.
All right, On the Knight. You're looking to tussle a little bit. I figured that bringing that up was going to be very interesting because the way this game is going, and while the Merc's rush is good early, this is definitely not a lot of damage that's going to come from this Annie. I think the Summoner Bear is what you're definitely going to be leaning on a lot for IG unless they can find some critical kills here through for Rookie.
So
right now,
that is you know, you're not wrong, but also you're playing Annie in the mostly squishies. We got pause though, yeah, Drake take.
Summoner Bear, yeah, and Shadow's wrangled hold of this dragon. The pop blossom, those gonna grab 3, but it's too late because they've already lost Rookie, and then they see Meiko fall next, and Gala's all alone, desperately trying to run away, but the ghost and the ult will not save him from Knight's triple kill rampage.
So, I'm in the camp where for IG, you probably, like, this isn't the time of game for you to be fighting this. Because 1 items, that's the BLG sweet spot here. And we've talked about, you know, as this game gets to 2-3 items, how we really like your draft with the Sivir and the Ornn. That was a bit bold, and a good execution from BLG. I think IG playing this one a little bit too quickly. Like, you're up a dragon, you have 3 grubs, you can trade this out. Bin ulted away. He's here without it. Rookie, though, with no flash from the mid dive, just goes down. Bin TP definitely put him in a heck of a trap, but IG were really split in the approach with Wei being in the back of the pit. TheShy not being able to join as he burned his TP for lane. And that, like, when you're down a TP top with those conditions, just give. Like, you have a Sivir, you have an Ornn. It's okay to give and play for gold elsewhere. I think IG, you know, like, hindsight, that was a nice play by BLG, but probably should not have given them that angle. Didn't need to in this game.
It's almost like they were really trying to get that dragon stacking win con and just indexing way too much into it. And now you can start to see the desperation kind of set in. They're looking for these dive plays on Tonight, who does not have flash or ultimate, has a redemption coming through. The wave is far too low. Gala taking up 2 of those turret shots, just not the priority for aggro.
I mean, in a way, I think that was their only play, because now the game is, the conditions are so much worse for them coming out of that dragon fight. They have to get the Rift Herald. So I think that's why, like, part of why they're looking for it. And it looks silly. I think that they rushed that one a little bit, but also that's what Aurora forces when you delete waves like that. So, yeah, just the clamp's kind of closing in for IG. Again, we set up this comp for BLG. They needed to really play the early game, get a lead, and drive it home, because as the game goes on, Ornn Sivir can get scary. And I don't know if they have the CC to, like, set up and guarantee big rumble fights.
I just right now don't think IG have enough.
Yeah, BLG's game state, they're on pace. Like, 3K gold is above pace, honestly. And I think IG forced that with a second Drake, which was the oopsie.
I think the fact that this rumble from Bin, he's going to get TP back online before any real play starts back out, right? We don't have Opticon, we don't have a Drake coming up anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's just so, you really want to move TheShy out of this wave state, right? You need to get him out of the sides. You want to be proactive in making plays. Kind of like All and Shadow are doing right now. This is just an alley-oop dunk down from Shadow. Love how they used the ultimates together to make sure Gala had no shot.
Yeah, I mean, no summoners on Gala. You can only spell shield one thing, so Sivir is vulnerable. This is part of why we were talking about the Ezreal, right, in draft, or the Jhin, because you could play further away from stuff like this, but Sivir, you got to play into it. When your conditions are not as good, it can get hard. So we're going to see at least one crash go down. Shadow gets access to some camps, and the lead for BLG grows to 4K.
They're just going at a breakneck pace, and this is what I think has been BLG's greatest strength all year long, even through a lot of these roster swaps, is that specifically Knight, as we talk about all the time, when he gets these leads, he just has that, like, killer instinct in him to always be constantly forcing the issue, looking for flashes, getting exhausts out, looking to be a threat. And that's why I think Shadow has been such a great help compared to all the other junglers. I think Shadow understands best how Knight likes to approach a game and really just lay waste to his opponents as quickly as possible.
So what you're saying is that Shadow is the most okay with being on the tightest leash.
Yeah, as long as you're pointing him as close as you can to the enemies, that he can bite.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like, okay, we're gonna dive mid, guys. I'm up. It's fine. This game, I mean, Knight is so
it's
big
working.
This game.
I mean, like, this Annie's been non-existent because they've just been doing that the whole early game.
Yeah, and also, like, the Pantheon. I know I set up controlling frontline being important about the Pantheon, too. This is where a champion like Arel can be nice, because Nico, Pantheon's very, very good against Nico. You can get one shot. Whereas Rel, kind of tanky, can really might make life hard in the front line for Pantheon, just with your QW and even your R works. So I know that it was kind of for lane, like getting Sivir out later on, but I think these are other options that IG could have looked at where they might have given themselves better conditions for drafts. Because you give yourself more squishies for Pantheon, and we have seen Shadow really cash in on that.
We talked a lot about in this game 1 understanding draft conditions and power spikes and executing on those right timers. It's been right now through this 5K gold lead, BLG understanding that assignment, and IG playing a bit above their pace. And that's something that you can even recognize in your solo queue games. And I want to shout out our awesome sponsor here. Hopefully before this top, or ProDiff. I'm going to do it now. Yep, all right, been ult to the way. ProDiff.gg. LPL 10. You could get 10% off a ProDiff subscription. Immaculate insight from NACL, ERL, and even LTA pros to get you gain an LP in your solo games as soon as possible by learning from the pros themselves.
All right, while that ad read was going down, Free Dragon was taken by BLG. I will say, I think that Ocean Soul is like the worst draw of Soul that BLG could have ever had. There's just not poke on IG, and they do not want to play a long fight at all. And this gives IG, like, any dragons for IG, I think that, I mean, it's definitely just, I think, higher value for them than what it would be for BLG. So.
Yeah, I think BLG also don't want to get to a point where Dragon Soul's ever an issue in this game, the way they're playing, the pace they're playing.
They want to end it faster. They are up 5K gold. And, yeah, again, a lot of that lead is in Knight's hands. Up 2K on his own, Riftmaker completed. I have to imagine that any fight, IG's going to have a game plan for Knight. So far, it really feels like the game plan's been attacking Elk, but BLG has done a pretty decent job of making sure that the TheShy can play.
The question I begin to ask now is, as you talk about the items, when is IG going to have a reliable damage source for any of these fights that they kind of have to make to come back out, right?
They're so far behind. Yeah.
Annie has only a Malignance. You're getting like a Phantom Dancer or a Flicker Blades out of Gala. There's no damage in this Sivir until the IE comes through. It's such a like catch-22 scenario, and now you've got Ben even beaten on TheShy here.
This is okay.
2 tank items.
So,
okay.
like, why this is okay is that they're going to play for TheShy's TP on Otacon, and now you have ult advantage if you're IG. But you got to know this is going on, because TheShy's got to complete the base and TP in. If it's just gone before that, then okay. This, the second dragon contest from IG is, I guess, just game losing.
But that's the thing,
again,
Tubby.
Yeah, the game was good, and then they hit the second Drake, and now this game is just super doomed.
But that's the thing. If you're IG and you want to be getting over the hump of going out of the loser's bracket right at the end, get over the hump of solidifying yourself as a Worlds team for the LPL, you have to be able to beat opponents that will only allow you to make one little mistake like this. Now you can see IG, they're trying to dive Bin with no wave. They're going to get the anti-stun into the pop loss, so Bin is living forever. So that when Knight comes around, he forces double flashes out immediately. He hasn't found any of these kills yet, but the way he's going, yeah, 3 flashes out. Now Rookie is caught trying to find a stun back on Knight. They're sending everybody after Knight. How many of these kills did he come up? He flashes forward to get the first one. Drops into the invis. Can't land any more of these snares, though, and Gala should be able to finally clean up. And 1,000 gold shutdown.
Okay. Honestly, I was a bit questioning when I saw Gala playing behind the turret, but 1,000 gold shutdown on the Gala, like, who really cares about bot inner turret for that? I guess that's the best case scenario after the Otacon went over for free, so that's a pretty big win now for IG. Did say that 3 items was what they were looking for to like even think about a fight again, and well, that really accelerated Sivir towards that 3rd item with the BF sword now in inventory, so Sivir is kind of on par now with Elk. That is a pretty big win, looking back. That's undeniable. So we got to give IG a little bit of credit. Like, yes, this looked a little bit desperate, but I think it paid off. Again, the gold going on the Sivir is huge.
I was wary. I was very wary once the wave
I was wary
out.
too, but they played it. Curious how Knight could have played this one better. I think the preemptive flash is, like, maybe looking back wasn't the call.
Maybe just letting them all leave with 3. Like they burned 3 flashes.
I think you gotta value your shutdown a little bit more. Like, there's a world where he walks out of that. There was no wave, and if you walk out of that, like, we're looking at this like, oh my god, the game's over, right? But
yeah.
No, I think that was a mistake from Knight. Like, the flash for that rookie kill was not worth. Now, did it send a message? Maybe.
Yes. I mean,
Maybe that was a calculation.
You had 3 guys flash away from you within 15 seconds. That's what's going to make up for that play, right, Cubby? Is if you can punish Rookie not having a flash right now. Wei doesn't have a flash. There's no flash pop blossom available for Meiko. And you look at what's going to be up on the map while those flash timers are down.
Okay.
Baron coming up in a minute 20, and Soul Point Ocean Drake even shorter time.
I mean, again, I think if you're IG, you probably have to give this again. Like, I don't see a world where they win this fight unless they get a pick. At least TheShy's here early, because, he can just walk in, and this definitely helps their setup a lot. They should be a lot more grouped up now, because they can play off TheShy. He can take some damage, and that's a nice little chunk.
Okay, Knight's going to eat the Cataclysm. He's going to use Between Worlds as in the response, so you trade ult for ult. But the Cataclysm, I feel like, brings a lot more value. They at least get Bin to TP back in. He was threatening a tier 2 turret on the top side.
I mean, Aurora's the fed one. Like, it brings value into Elk, but you did just take away the most fed member's ult. And I think they're going to hit this. Let's see what's up. Rookie's holding that side.
Dropping a
the
mid wave and
TheShy.
top wave for this.
Yeah.
They're walking their way in a bit late. There's the Grand Starfall. Shadow just going to try and steal it. No, he's going for the backline. He wants to go after Gala, who immediately drops a spell shield. Now he's going to go back into the pit. Not going to be able to steal it. Wei does secure the Dragon. Shadow has to flash back out. Equalizer not going to hold anyone at bay. Temperance comes down as well from Rookie.
Play out.
Gets a good amount of damage down onto On. But TheShy, he feels that killer instinct in him. He flashes right after Bin. Forces a flash from Bin himself.
That's good. That's very good for IG.
Major bloodshed. Yep.
I do like how IG played that. Shadow made a mistake on the execute of the Dragon. Wei just sat in the back of the pit, used that... Oh, no. Okay. We didn't commit. Wei used that special Ocean Soul Brush. Little object permanence there. Just stuck back in there after the Pantheon ult was forgotten about. And, well, Smite missed for the Pantheon. Wei secures it. And that's big. I mean, IG have stabilized here. They picked up a Dragon. It's still a 5k gold deficit. But again, conditions of that, we're closing in on IE for Sivir, and that is significant. Like, I think that the item deficiencies that we're going to see for IG are starting to be made up for just by the champions they have, the ornaments that will be coming through. And, like, life is okay for them right now. They just need to make sure that Sivir can function in these fights, and we've seen that happen the last couple of occasions.
I think you called it out. TheShy being there is the real big X factor. I know he's sitting here zeros, like zeros across the board, but his presence is what buys Sivir that space.
No, that's a good shout, and this is like where Orin scales so well into this game, is that Aurora and Rumble just cannot move him. But he's got to fix these waves, so get them to neutral, and then he can start fogging, joining the team, and actually, helping out with some of these warning missions is, okay. Eye test-wise, we talk about how TheShy Orin does look different. I'm glad that the stats back it up too. As I don't know about Ramstein though. We might have to talk to Rare Adam about that one.
It's always fun though when the eye test and stats line up, because those are the two greatest battles no matter what competitive sport you're talking about, is eye test versus stats. What does the stats say on this engage from home? We'll have to see. That's the quickness down pretty quickly, pun intended. Meiko's going to have to reset, but I don't think BLG can pounce the Baron off of that play alone.
I thought there was a world where Meiko could have buffered his Pop Blossom and actually picked up on, because I didn't see Elk able to, like, insta-E back. That said, the shield from the passive support item working overtime, as I'm going to see a second item, Frozen Heart from Meiko, in a double magic damage game.
Ooh.
I don't like it.
I wonder why.
I will say, Frozen Heart and support, it has some value. Ability haste is good. The unique passive is good. I don't like it this game. I don't. There's an Ornn. Like,
there's also an Elk already done with LDR.
There's also a 6-in-1 Aurora that's just deleting me.
Yeah, very quickly at a torrential pace. We'll have to track how that one plays out. Right now, though, BLG are trying to use those long waves to their advantage, and I'm really liking that aspect. In fact, they have tier 1 down in top and mid lane right now. They're able to take all the space up in the jungle, and it's forcing IG to constantly be looking to check it, but TheShy just hand stiffs on, catches him in the middle of his dash, and, well, TheShy's on the board finally, his first assist of the game.
That, sadly for On, that reaction time was a little off, as he gets taken out.
That was a. I'm gonna let your. I had to let your pun marinate right there. You You went for an on-off punt, all right? You had to sit in it for a second.
I was going to say that was a Rams bottom to the back. So I had a second one cooking, but you kind of killed the train. That said, IG forwarding with a Baron, but instead just laying a trap for Rookie. If Knight walks on that control board, it's a maybe. The Rookie's going to seed the ground as they fix the wave, and Knight actually spots him out. So that's kind of clever by BLG. They pick up a lot of info, and they're able to reset. They know IG didn't hit this. Yeah, the waves have to be fixed, and because BLG are resetting early there, they actually reset and get back out on the map first. So I know that that was a mistake by On, but I actually like how BLG played that on the back half, because now Dragon can test again. Ocean Dragon, we said advantage IG. There's more poke on BLG's side, and I think the Ocean Dragon is a little bit of a better draw for IG. I think giving them 2 is that makes the game more difficult on paper. And BLG resetting first, they're able to actually play this objective first. That said, it only matters so much, and we have IG hunting.
Oh boy, we're doing this again. Yep.
This is huge. I love this. Okay.
Between worlds through first. They're covering the dash. Yeah, Knight is just cooked here. There's no way out. A rare side lane catch onto the golden left hand of BLG, and IG are once again prying that door back open, and they're hunting for more here. Send their pearly whites on the Baron.
And look, we said that this Dragon doesn't really matter for BLG. Like, Ocean just has no impact on the game. I love this from IG. They're going to insta-force out Elgar.
There's the Feather Storm, and yeah, immediately gets his flash out, still gets knocked up. Bin's desperately racing to try and cover for his AD that's now lost all of his key summoners, and Meiko knows it, goes in for the Pop Blossom, does finally get towards Elk. Down goes the TheShy, and Gala is able to flash himself back out, but Bin gets so much damage out of this Rumble. Instantly finds himself a triple kill, and just as quickly as the play started, it disintegrates.
Man, that setup onto Elk was so good, but they forgot about Bin in the top side. His Rumble is so farmed, and he just barbecued IG. Pretty much solo forced Gala out of that fight, by the way, as he dings 18. And is the difference maker for BLG in that one, as they might secure the Baron now.
What a save for Bin. Everything was starting to go wrong. Knight gets picked off. Elk out of position, then gets punished, but it's Giga Bin on his Rumble that comes dashing in like a stallion to save this one. And now the uncontested Baron's going to come across here. This gold lead is going to explode.
Bin's getting Drake too. What happens with Drake? Because Bin's on it right now. Okay, he can't finish it. It's leashed for IG. So it's sole point for IG. They're going to TP back.
Is it, Guppy? Here comes...
No, IG should get it.
Okay.
Yeah, IG's going to get it. IG's going to get it.
They do get TheShy's TP out for that, though.
Yeah, TheShy should not have TP'd for that. They're going to get... I mean, this turret's going to fall to Baron anyway. So let's see what IG can do with the Silver Wave clear. Let's take another look. As... I mean, Gaba's already kind of hurt for this one. I almost would have liked it if IG just, like, would have reset and controlled the map. They forced really hard on this. Keep in mind that the Tibbers was already used by Rookie. And I think Rookie overkilled Elk. For me, Rookie overkills Elk there. The flash W onto Elk, I thought Elk was already dead. If Rookie just stuns up Bin, I think that it prevents a lot of the rest of the fight from going the way that it did. As, okay, we return alive and On's dead again.
Picked off. Yep. You know what's so...
They really... I cannot emphasize enough. I think they overkilled Elk. Elk had all of his tools missing. They threw everything at Elk. Rookie flashing in there. Again, if he just stuns Bin, I think that actually like makes it so that Gala can kind of play out the rest of the fight. Maybe the equalizer still gets down, but like Rookie flashing in just pretty much killed himself to Bin and allowed for that Rumble to just have a massive fight.
It's always such an interesting conversation when we talk about Bin on his Rumble. As we're gonna replay, look at On just...
I mean, just wait for your AD to hit the mid wave, man. Like... Alright.
Yep. So,
moving on.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to recollect this the last time, because I feel like actually the last time, Cubby, you and I casted, we got to see... Yeah, we did. The BLG Top Esports Series. I distinctly remember a Game 1 where we talked about Bin's Rumble not having the right setup for that ult, but he's just better. And that fight you saw, that equalizer is what brought all those damage. He didn't have much setup. He just positions these equalizers so well next to these walls.
Yeah.
It's such a big difference.
No, and again,
how he plays Rumble.
And it's something that intentionally Ben has really talked about, how he wants to be, or he wanted to be better at this champ. And yeah, now, I mean, his Rumble has to be feared.
I would say best Rumble in the league.
It's up there. There are a lot of good Rumbles in this league, but it for sure has to be talked about now as being up there. And well, yeah, there's a real conversation for number 1 too. So That's a good shout. That said, even with the Baron, it's really tough to break a Sivir. And Gala doing his best to wave clear as that equalizer.
Oh, wow. All right. Yeah, that's got a lot of good damage. It's mainly trying to get the wave back up, but again, On gets popped way too quickly, and the Horn's coming out from the Shy as they look to chase down the Scatter members. Watch Knight to the top of your screen as Shadow is going to drop, but Knight, he can't find a way in. The GA's pop for Shadow. Good stasis from Bin, but he's just going to get jumped on, collapsed inside the Cataclysm. The hero of last fight for BLG is limping on out, flashing and dashing to saving himself. Bin gets out. But BLG can't turn back on IG. The only kill to find once again out of the fight is On.
I think that BLG, like, it's really tough for them to break the base. I see the idea of Bin's equalizer to actually push Sivir off the wave, but again, Sivir has so much wave clear and there's so much execute here. The BLG is split. Like, for me, Shadow should be the one mid with the ultimate to be able to join, and Knight actually with the team. And then On just doesn't respect Annie over the wall. He gets
Summoner Bear.
And then, yeah, from here, like, Knight's kind of in between the fight. If Shadow's mid, he could insta-TP in, and then it would be numbers for BLG the entire time. Instead, Knight's never really able to get in, Elk's never really able to get in, and they give IG a really good fight on their conditions, like, in this pocket, where I think their comp function is a lot better than BLG. BLG wants to use Fog and get picks, I think, at this point. Really tough to siege in the Sivir.
That's a great point to make, because when we talked about this game from draft, right, it was the mid-power spike for BLG and their global threat on the map and that pick potential. Once you get 35 minutes and you start, like, shortening the map and trying to break through a really good wave clear comp, a Pantheon comp, an Aurora comp that really needs the space the map provides to create those avenues, it's a really difficult point for BLG to be at this point. And unless they can draw IG out in an uncomfortable spot, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to really break that mold. And luckily for IG, them being at Soul Point, when's the next time we really feel like IG are going to get drawn out of this fortress they've built?
Well, maybe Soul Point. So, good chunk on the way. And BLG has to control the start. But look at Rookie. They know that Elk has conditions. Going to try and start removing them, as that's not a great start.
Yeah, Ornhorn down. Now you're really relying on Tibbers. But Elk has Featherstorm, Cleanse, and Flash. And now BLG are looking to pounce here with Shadow, cutting off escape angles into a pop loss of the Gala and Rookie will have the Flash out. Featherstorm comes across from Elk just to zone Rookie and Gala, and that means the Shy has to pay the Pied Piper. The front line down for IG. No Baron, no problem for Bilibili as they go after the base once more.
Okay, 5v4, they're going to take the Dragon on exit. At least mid inhibitor falls. What else can they get? As the Shy, I mean, I get trying to play to milk Elk summoners, but that was a little bit bold. Elk just kind of strolled his way casually out of that one. And then created a really good scenario for BLG. I like the take from Shadow. It really split him off. His Gala, great reaction.
That was an amazing reaction time to cleanse that stun. So it does take some of the bite out of Shadow for right now, and that's going to slow down the push. They're only getting 2 inhibitors.
Yeah, we'll say 2 big things. 1, Gala, no flash for the next fight. 2, no vamp. Like, we're seeing him eat a lot of poke damage. You're a 500 range Sivir. That's part of why I think Ocean Soul is important. So, yeah, it's only vamp from what he took in runes, if he did take it. Yeah, it looks like he took it from runes. And now, that Dragon taken. Okay, double TP committed here by BLG with a Spellbook TP, just to ensure that no Baron is the response from IG, who are all back up on the map.
They recognize the timer was a little bit off, so they have to commit those TPs to get back up here. This Baron could really decide things. We've gone 38 minutes, potentially 40 between
Rookie,
IG trying to break that glass ceiling. He might have found a pick over the wall onto Bin, who's recalling and falling asleep. Another avenue gifted over by BLG to allow Invictus back into this.
Sometimes it's just the little things, guys. All BLG was playing at the top side towards Baron. Bin takes a pretty aggressive recall that Rookie is able to sniff out as he's trying to lie in wait on the Annie. And that's a really big pickup. As IG,
Gala's
still no flash, but on whiffs.
Out bin, and Pop
whiffs.
Blossom turn from Meiko, gets sniped, he has to flash back out. Redemption's drop on both sides of Shadow, stuns up TheShy, and there's more than enough damage for this Elk Xayah to push through it, but he gets caught in the Cataclysm and executed by Rookie, and down falls Shadow towards the backside. Knight and all the only ones to live, and that should secure the Baron for Invictus Gaming.
And because of the double TPs to actually get in and try and contest this, that means that they can't threaten the base. So this is just a free take for IG. They can use the Baron duration to play base defense, get all this farm on the Sivir now. And I think IG have slingshotted back into this game. With the Ornn, the Sivir, I think their comp, the Goldie doesn't matter anymore. As let's take another look at this. On just whiffed. The quickness doesn't even pick up Gala. He didn't have flash available, but Gala able to sneak his way out of that. TheShy gives his life, but the Ornhorn is being heard from Valhalla after that one because it means that Elk joins him there along with Shadow and ensures his team picks up the Baron. As that's what we're talking about in the Xayah with splitting up your big Rs in order to play around the Flash, the Featherstorm, Flash of which is now removed from Elk. So really tough conditions moving forward now for BLG to play out.
And look at the items by this point. We talked all game long about how IG, the longer this goes on, the sweeter that wine becomes. And it is boar fruit here for Gala. Gets the Bloodthirster done. That is a full build Sivir. The attention goes towards Wei, who is looking to potentially get picked off. They do force the tippers out of Rookie just to provide Wei a bit of safety, but that is Summoner Bear, so he'll be back before you know it.
Yeah, I will say the Summoner Bear, it's not full Summoner Bear. The joke was that the Summoner Bear is like Rylai's the Andres Morello, so that you just like shred MR and the bear is just huge and throws everyone. It's like the item is just to buff up the bear. So we like to call that the Pokemon Tibbers build of Summoner Bear. It's a fun one. But Slayer, gonna have to focus up because Soul on the table.
Yeah.
In 2 minutes. Again, IG, all they could really do is play base defense with their Baron, but hey, a base defense when you're with Sivir and you have Gala at this item breakpoint is just what the doctor ordered, as he has sold the Hex Drinker and picked up that Vamp with the BT. So now Gala's going to have to drain tank his way through the fight a little bit. That magic damage will hit him very hard, but if he doesn't get one shot, he's able to auto. The lifesteal from Sivir this late in the game can be so critical with an item like BT. So Gala at full build and a flash up, and Elk will not have flash up for this dragon. Going to be very critical.
And what I'm looking for here, while we still have about a minute for that Drake to come back out, is can we get Rookie over for this last damage item he's really looking for? We talked all game long about how Rookie was dove under mid-tier 1 turret constantly, put really far behind. And look at that, just as we talk about it, Rookie completes the death cap. So a lot more burst for IG's comp now that the Annie's finally all the way back.
Insane flank. Yeah,
Wait's not spotted.
The flag's gonna be spotted. Okay, the flag's spotted by Elk.
They know. Elk finds it. He gets caught in the Cataclysm. But Wait's gonna go back out and trap Elk within his own pit. And Elk goes down. What a find for Wei.
Jarvan into Xayah, baby. That's why we do it. That's why, part of why we didn't like the Xayah Rakan pickup. As IG, again, no flash on Elk. What an angle from Wei. Played in some old school League in the back half. Guys, if you're Jarvan, you know, cat for flash or just no flash, that's the target. Wei finds a beautiful angle onto Elk. And that certainly is going to mean the soul goes over to IG. And now, what kind of way does BLG have to get back into the game? Because if IG can just disengage any of these fights where BLG burns ours is big, but here we go.
They're just going after Gala, but that's a great pop loss from Meiko to make sure Shadow cannot find that execute. GA already popped, and Gala is ready to rip, roar, and burn through the rest of BLG. Shadow's going to be the first one to go down, and that's all they need to secure Ocean Soul. IG have come all the way back.
I mean, if you're IG now, guys, like, Aurora or Rumble R's, all we have to do is walk backwards, use Ocean Soul, and sneak back up. All right, I will say IG, we got to learn about ornaments and maybe what we put first in our inventory. Death cap first. Rookie, come on, we're better than this. It's okay. That's about the only note, though, in the back half.
It came through pretty late, right? Yeah, I was going to say,
yeah. Okay,
the death cap. Death cap came through really late in this game, so yeah, that's probably why he doesn't get that up.
I thought I saw death cap last. All right, well, that's bad on my part. I flamed for no reason. IG just won the game. I really feel like IG's won the game now, honestly. I don't know how Ocean Soul, like, that just neutralizes so much what BLG wants to do. Let's look at this thing get dropped. Gala heals up the stun. Oh my god, that is beautiful from Gala. The spell shields have been on point. That raw reaction speed out of the AD. So good in that moment. Making the rest of the fight look easy because he reacted to the correct spell. No Mikhails, no cleanse needed, man. Just the reaction speed of Gala, that's it.
And now the brute force of a fully scaled up comp for IG, and they're just picking apart limb from limb. Bilibili Gaming. Bin's already down, and the assault on the base has continued. IG looking for that killer blow to find the comeback in this game one as they continue to try to break that glass ceiling, threaten that top 3. There's only a couple Nexus turrets standing in the way of doing so in this first bout.
God, even just the TheShy, that angle there on the bin, like that ease, just the min-maxing that the TheShy is able to get. Just the pixel on the back half to pick up the rumble. As, yeah, Baron on the table, Ocean Soul is up Slayer, and this game one for IG, kind of like resounding. We had some questions about the BLG comp, said it was going to be really important for them to push the game forward, and we're now seeing why as they've run out of gas. And the execute for BLG just so much more difficult at this point of the game compared to IG.
And what's really so hard to grasp is how well this comp has countered what Knight wants to do. This Aurora was so far ahead, but it feels impossible to get Knight in a position to drop all that damage. And now he's getting hunted down by Meiko. Catches him on the edge of the Pop Blossom. Between Worlds has to be used defensively. Knight buying time for BLG as they do sneak out with the Baron on the back side of it. IG make the mistake of chasing down the golden left hand, and they gifted a lifeline. But Wei wants to go after Elk. Trades flash for flash with him. Elk still has the GA. Polished off. Horn going down. Knockup's going to land. Knight, TheShy's going to go under the turret. It just deletes Elk's health bar. He goes into the GA. Shadow, though, coming on the back line with a big hero's entrance of his own. Going to get the GA out of the way. Now Elk can try and turn and burn through the TheShy, whose health bar is his best friend. Look at Rookie hold on to the rest of BLG at bay with a huge stun. And now it's Gala's turn to turn into a real-life buzzsaw. And the only thing in front of him is BLG and Elk. Down falls BLG's AD. Knight can only scramble back. The comeback completed. Invictus Gaming are going up 1-0.
There was no chance after Ocean Soul was secured. The heavy damage comp from BLG, it ran out of fuel, and Gala ran them over in the late game.
What a statement for IG. 3-10 against the top 3. Now positioned in comeback fashion to bring that record closer.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the scoreboard in the back half, too, like, Elk ended the game with 0 kills. It just was attacked for the entire game. Again, I really just have to call into question the Xayah Rakan with the Ornn Annie Jarvan showing. I think it's so hard to execute in late game. We really saw why. Like, the ability to split up those really big spells to take away the flash from Xayah or the Featherstorm, and then create a fight where when Xayah doesn't have those tools, she is just not the same marksman. There were not the tools that BLG had as a comp and with that top side to really defend against that. And we saw that as the game went on, because it was a really big deficit for IG after that second dragon. I mean, BLG, they had the early game they wanted. They were able to push the pace. They got a clean Otacon, but it was really only 1 or 2 mistakes where that 1,000 gold shutdown, I think specifically going over to Gala from Knight, that one death that he had was really expensive in the back half, because that was really, I think, the starting point for Gala to slingshot back into that game and be that late game 3-item Sivir where the setup from his team was so good and Gala delivered.
And yeah, you talked about the setup. You mentioned how often Elk was just taken out of position with his summoners and his ultimate. What does that all track back to? Cubby, what we talked about before we got into this game. It's Wei. It's those guys on your team, the floor raisers, the ones that are willing to sacrifice themselves. Constantly, Wei, he finds these clutch flashes, these flanks. He dives in, no care in mind, knowing if I can get Elk out of this fight, if I can separate BLG, the rest of my team's got me. That game really showed the value that I think Wei specifically brings to Invictus Gaming in Split 3.
Dude, I honestly, like, now that I think about it, so it's funny, because, like, back when he was on BLG, right, Wei was always pictured as, oh, I'm a little bit more of a team-oriented jungle, whereas Shun can play these sick carries like Nidalee Kindred, Invade, like we can play the full court press, kind of like what BLG was trying to play that game. It'd be so funny if he just plays like Jarvan, Sejuani, Maokai, or like Poppy, like all the supportive junglers just like smacks BLG around with it in the IG squad, because his Jarvan always been on point, but to see him and the priority that IG had put on it, and then some of the executions that Wave found, like I really thought his Jarvan was on point that game. I think some of the hovers were missing versus some of the Pantheon ults, but how he played it in the fights was really, really good from IG. And between him and TheShy, like, there wasn't a real frontliner. This is my thing with the Pantheon, right? You need to win the frontline. It's so hard to win a frontline against Ornn, Jarvan, Meiko when you can't one-shotter later on into the game and it gets to hold you in place. And I think once that happened, once there was enough damage from the Sivir to back it, the BLG just kind of slowly lost grasp of that game. And IG got back in with really good play.
It's so fun that you use this full court press analogy, because I do want to lean into it a bit more, talking about the difference.
It's very true.
Well, here's the thing with full court presses, right? There are two types, and the way that I used to be taught them back in the day was we called 155 and we called 150. It was a zone versus man press. What is interesting here, for, you know, the identity between these full court presses with a jungler. A carry jungler, you talk about it, everyone's up in their face. Everyone's invading, they're up in their lanes. That's like man press. Everybody, you press forward. But a zone press, like what Wei does, is you overload and press certain parts of the map that you want to take control of, and then relinquish control on the back half. I think that's how Wei fits in for IG, and we saw it with some of the plays he's able to make, overloading on sides of the map with this Jarvan. It's just such a fun way to think about how different junglers can mold different teams. And what better split to look at that, or year to look at that, than the jungle carousel that has been LPL 2025.
Yeah, I think like that's very appropriate. I like how Wei fits in. I also think that, like, as we look back through the replays, one of the big game changers of this one, it's going to be On getting picked off a few times at this point of the game. Because this, for me, is still the point of the game where BLG, they have a lead, they need to push things forward. But as this game moved forward, this is the huge fight for Bin. I thought that Bin had a really nice game still. He got caught once off of a good play by Rookie, like he based on the wrong side. That was about it. Besides that, Bin, I thought was fantastic. But On getting caught was really expensive in trying to push like the game forward. Like this fight,
here we go.
On's gonna get one tapped. Like that W, like that's just a bad look for On as he gets slapped around by Tibbers, and that wasn't the first time we saw On go down like that. Definitely slowed down some of the tempo for BLG in a game where, again, you couldn't afford to relinquish that pressure because you knew that late game things would look the way it did for IG.
And we talk about Wei, and you mentioned it a bit, but the replay doesn't do it justice because we had to skip so many of those earlier fights. But just look at how TheShy's mere presence and his health bar just slows down everything that I feel like Bin and Knight really wanted to do. I think Knight goes really dark in this game because it is so hard for him to weave into these fights because of that front line we've been talking about here for IG.
Yeah, I mean, again, like Ornn into the Aurora Rumble, the CC is all you need when you have a Sivir behind you. So if you slow him down and you open up that space, it is quite good. I just love some of the creativity. Like this is good League. Like we're playing free good League of Legends here. From Wei, like using the gap of vision between minion waves to sneak in there, set up that against Elk. You can see how surprised he was seeing the Jarvan come out of the jungle.
Shocked.
That got him the Ocean Soul, and then like this fight. I mean, this is so GG. Just do off like just because of Ocean Soul. Like the turret doesn't matter. Shadow was a little bit late to join. Yes, they get Gala GA, but as this rolls out, there's just not nearly close to enough gas in the tank on the BLG end. And as that gas ran out for BLG, TheShy, oh, if only he was playing Choo Choo Ornn, man. He just fed it into the train. Just imagine that, and then gave it to the rest of his team.
Well, here, I have a question to feed towards you, Cubby. Talked to a lot of people in this game for IG. Who's your player of the game?
I think it has to be Gala. But I'll honorary mention Meiko, because I do think that we talked a lot about the top side just because of the setups and the collapses into the Xayah. But in the post game, like now, I'm sitting here and feeling like it was a pretty big support gap as well, looking back. So
I think it was a support gap, but I think it was self-inflicted by
a little bit. Yeah,
so.
it was. But Meiko had a decent game. There were some self-inflicted wounds from On for sure.
Yeah, I kind of hope that this is weird coming from the AD carry guy. I kind of hope that one of those frontliners got player of the game this one. I do think...
No, the boom damage was worth it for me. Yeah.
I also think, you know what, the clutch spell shields that we got from Gala this game, too.
Pretty impressive.
Just like, it's really hard to be skill expressive on Sivir, I think, right? What is it, like, oh, how quickly can you W reset your auto? It's really the spell shield. And even Gala showed his just immaculate timing on a champion like Sivir. Congratulations, Gala, for your player of the game. Wow. What a start to our series. We got more action and excitement in one game of IG BLG than we did the entire Weibo FPX series. But guess what, folks? That is just one single game, and BLG are looking angry. We'll see if they have a response here, or if IG are going to find their 4th win in 2025 against top 3 opponents in a 2-0 fashion. All that and more coming your way after an intermission.